Ladies and gentlemen, today I am bringing you some cryptocurrency news that really proves why cryptocurrency is the wave of the future. I'm telling you right now, we're in the early stages of a major financial technological revolution that has taken place. It's in plain sight. People don't realize it, but this revolution is going to sweep the world. No questions about it. Here's 3 news stories we're going to be talking about. Bank of America accused of treating customers like Al Qaeda as they gave customer data, purchasing data, to the FBI without the customer's knowledge. It's incredible. We're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about gag orders, which I think it's very possible Bank of America was under one of these gag orders or something similar. When you see this video, when you hear about this, this is going to blow your mind. Most people aren't even aware that something like this is possible in America. Next up, police seize $60 million of Bitcoin. Now, where's the password? We're going to be talking about this one as well. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to say this. This is Crypto Wealth. I believe in the future of cryptocurrency. If you believe that cryptocurrency is the future, if you believe that we're part of something extraordinary right here, right now, do me a favor, smash that like button. And of course, hit the subscribe button, click the bell notification, click all. On this channel, I like to bring you content that creates awareness, content that really proves the use case of cryptocurrency. That's what we're going to be talking about right here, right now, today. Also, I love earning passive income with cryptocurrency. If you love earning passive income, do me a favor, smash that like button. Okay, let's go ahead and get into this. These stories today, I see stories come across my phone, and I'm like, yep, that's why Bitcoin's awesome. Yep, that's why cryptocurrency is awesome. Yep. Take a look at this stuff here. Police seize $60 million of Bitcoin. Now, where's the password? The story is hilarious. First of all, I can't stand these misleading headlines, and it's like somebody with zero crypto sense writes cryptocurrency stories. Ladies and gentlemen, be careful what you read out there. There is so much misinformation or ill-informed misinformation. Obviously, the police didn't seize $60 million worth of Bitcoin. They don't have the password. Not your keys, not your crypto. The first fundamental lesson everybody should understand about cryptocurrency security. They probably have some sort of ledger wallet, or they have access to some sort of hardware wallet. But if they don't have the password, they don't have the wallet, they don't have the crypto. And if the supposed perpetrator has the password or knows his private keys, he's going to get access to his crypto. He owns his crypto still. You don't. Nana and the boo-boo, I guess. Listen, let's look at what this guy did. And I'm not trying to say what he did was right in any way, shape, or form. That's not what I'm saying at all. Let's go through this though, because I think this case really proves something incredibly valuable for cryptocurrency, and I believe it's why people are going to ultimately prefer to hold cryptocurrency. I think this is situations like this is why they're going to want to be able to eventually being able to have that ownership, and it can't be taken away, is why they're going to prefer something like cryptocurrency over, for example, the Fed coin. The Fed coin is a central bank digital currency that is probably going to launch this year, and this is basically a cryptocurrency created by the federal government. The biggest difference is in this case right here, the federal government could zap the money. You couldn't. They could take it out of your wallet because it's not a public blockchain. It's a private blockchain that is centralized with the federal government. With Bitcoin, nobody can take your funds, like literally nobody. Look at this story. German prosecutors have confiscated more than 50 million euros, $60 million worth of Bitcoin from a fraudster. There's only one problem. They can't unlock the money because he won't give them the password, which means they haven't confiscated it. Isn't that hilarious? They can't get it. You understand, if you're new to crypto, all this man has to do is go start another Bitcoin wallet, put in his own private key, he pulls the funds over. It's a brand new wallet that he can transact with. He doesn't need, if they've confiscated his hardware wallet, he doesn't actually need the hardware wallet. He just needs to know what his private keys are. That's it. Or his 24 or 12-word passphrase. The man was sentenced to jail. He went to jail now and has since served his time maintaining his silence. Throughout the while, police made repeated failed efforts to crack the code to access more than 1,700 Bitcoins, said a prosecutor in the Bavarian town of Kempten. We asked him, but he didn't say. This to me is hilarious. This is so incredible. We asked him, but he didn't say. What did they think he was going to do? What did they think he was going to do? Prosecutor Sebastian Mueller told Reuters on Friday. Perhaps he doesn't know. Yeah, perhaps he doesn't. The guy's got $60 million worth of Bitcoin. This is a new situation. He knows that password. Bitcoin is stored on a software known as a digital wallet that is secured through encryption. A password is used as a decryption key to open the wallet and access the Bitcoin. When a password is lost, the user cannot open the wallet. They don't need the password if they have the private keys. This is the part that is hilarious. The fraudster had been sentenced to more than 2 years in jail for covertly installing software on other computers to harness their power to mine or produce Bitcoin. Okay, so this is what he went to jail for. So it wasn't like a heinous violent crime, but this is a crime nonetheless, and he should have went to jail for it. Basically, he was using something like the CryptoTab browser, which is what I'm using right here. But he was doing it in a way, the same type of software that this browser uses to mine Bitcoin for me. I've mined over $5,000 worth of Bitcoin in total with my mining network. He was basically installing a software, the same component that caused this thing to mine behind the scenes. Essentially, he was installing that on people's computer when they would go to websites without them knowing. So he was using some of their computer, essentially having their computer hardware start mining Bitcoin for him. When he went behind bars, his Bitcoin stash would have been worth a fraction of the current value. The price of Bitcoin has surged over the past year. We all know that. Prosecutors have ensured the man cannot access the largesse, however. So here's my question. How have they exactly ensured that? All they can do is monitor the public address to see if the cryptocurrency funds move, to see if the Bitcoin moves. That's all they can do is monitor it. They can't necessarily stop him. They can threaten to send him to jail, but they've got to prove that he's the one that moved it. I mean, that's what's so incredible about it. I mean, if the guy is smart enough to create software to go on websites to basically mine Bitcoin on his behalf from other people's computers, if he's smart enough to do that, then he's probably smart enough to know how to move the Bitcoin through privacy chains like Monero, etc., or use a Bitcoin mixer. I mean, he's smart enough probably to move that Bitcoin at some point. Even if he doesn't move it today, he doesn't need to move it today. Bitcoin's probably going to go up a lot more. He's got 1,700. That means if Bitcoin hits $1 million, which I fully believe that it will one day in the future. I mean, that's a guy sitting on what? 1.7? Yeah, $1.7 billion. So he doesn't need to be in a hurry to move it. It's just incredible. It's just proof that he goes to jail, serves his time in jail, and they think that he lost the password because they're like, hey, $60 million, we'll let you out of jail. Let me ask you, ladies and gentlemen, would you go to jail and stay in jail if someone told you they would give you $60 million once you got out? I don't know about you, but I'll go to jail for 2 years for $60 million. So this story, this is just setting us up for the other two stories, okay? Bank of America, this is crazy. Let's come down here. There's actual video. We're going to watch this video, watch part of it anyway. Take a look at this. If you don't know about this, this is absolutely crazy. Make sure this is turned up.
We now know part of the answer to that question. This show has obtained exclusively evidence that Bank of America, the second largest bank in the country with more than 60 million customers, is actively but secretly engaged in the hunt for extremists in cooperation with the government.
Now, the first part that we skipped over is he's talking about how there's this big ploy in the U.S. to get rid of domestic extremists. But there's no clear definition of what a domestic extremist is. So therefore, it creates a lot of potential for government overreach. Everybody would want to get rid of domestic terrorism and domestic extremists. But he's saying there's no clear line. No one's defined what's truly considered a domestic extremist. And that's what the first part was about. Now he's saying Bank of America, here's what they used for their guidelines. And here's what they did.
Bank of America is, without the knowledge or the consent of its customers, sharing private information with federal law enforcement agencies. Bank of America effectively is acting as an intelligence agency, but they're not telling you about it. In the days after the January 6th riot at the Capitol, Bank of America went through its own customers' financial and transaction records, a lot of them. Now, these were the private records of Americans who had committed no crime, people who, as far as we know, had absolutely nothing to do with what happened at the Capitol on January 6th. But at the request of federal investigators...
Okay, so get this. This isn't like they went to the people who were at the Capitol who did, all the bad things. It wasn't like they went to those people and said, hey, we need to search through their financial records looking for evidence. That's not what's happened. They combed through average, ordinary citizens' transactions who had been accused. None of them had been accused of a crime at all.
Investigators, Bank of America searched its databases looking for people who fit a specific profile. Here's what that profile was, and we are quoting. Customers confirmed as transacting either through bank account, debit card, or credit card purchases in Washington, D.C. between January 5th and January 6th. Number 2, purchases made for hotels, Airbnb, RSVPs in Washington, Virginia, or Maryland after January 6th. Number 3, any purchase of weapons or at a weapons-related merchant between January 7th and their upcoming suspected stay in the D.C. area around Inauguration Day.
Okay, he's going to keep going with one or two more. Let me ask you something. Think about this for a moment while we're watching this. Could you imagine the federal government going through all of your, can you imagine Bank of America going through all of your transactions, all of them, and then without your consent or knowledge, turning that over to the federal government? Are you okay with that? Let me know down in the comments. Are you okay with that?
And 4, airline-related purchases since January 6th. End quote. So what do you notice about that profile? Well, the first thing you notice is that it's remarkably broad. Any purchases of anything in the city of Washington, D.C., any overnight stay anywhere in the 3-state area that spans hundreds of miles, any purchase, not simply of legal firearms, but instead anything bought from a, quote, weapons-related merchant, T-shirts included, and then any airline-related purchases, not just flights to Washington, flights to anywhere, to Omaha, to Thailand. That is a very, very wide net, an absurdly wide net. Bank of America identified a total of 211 customers who met these, quote, thresholds of interest. And it was at that point, the show has learned, Bank of America turned over the results of its internal scan to federal authorities, apparently without notifying the customers who were being spied upon. Federal investigators then interviewed at least one of these unsuspecting people. And that person, we've learned, hadn't done anything wrong, and in the end was cleared. Imagine if you were that person. The FBI hauls you in for questioning in a terror investigation, not because...
The problem with these sort of situations is always a potential risk of overreach, and nobody ever cares because they're not the one that's been overreached on yet. That's the challenge. Let's let him wrap this up.
Because you've done anything suspicious, you haven't. You bought plane tickets and visited your country's capital. You thought you could do that. You thought it was your country. Now they're sweating you because your bank, which you trust with your most private information of everything you buy, has ratted you out to the feds without telling you, without your knowledge. Because Bank of America did that, you are being treated like a member of Al-Qaeda. What country is this? It doesn't matter how much you despise Donald Trump or how much you believe that hatred of Trump justifies suspending this country's ancient civil liberties. Going through that experience would scare the hell out of you. Absolutely. A terror suspect, you would think? Does anyone else know about this? Is there a record of this interview? Will I lose my job because of it? That actually happened to someone. It's hard to believe it, but it did. We asked Bank of America about this. They confirmed it actually happened by not denying it. Here's their statement in full, which manages to make the whole thing even creepier, assuming that's possible. Quote, we don't...
Okay, so the reason I'm going to play this part right here is because it's going to tie to the next video.
Don't comment on our communications with law enforcement. Well, apparently not. All banks, it continues, have responsibilities under federal law to cooperate with law enforcement inquiries in full compliance with the law, end quote. Now, the last part, from a lawyer's perspective, is the essence. In full compliance with the law. It's the law. We had no choice. But that's not true. Bank of America did have a choice. The bank could have resisted turning over information on its innocent customers to federal investigators, but Bank of America did not do that. Nor is it clear, if we're going to be precise about it, that what Bank of America did is even legal. It turns out it's not simple. It's a gray area. We spoke to a number...
Okay, so it goes on to say they spoke to several attorneys, and several of the attorneys they spoke to said, look, this is not a black and white issue. This is a gray issue, but this probably should and could get to the Supreme Court. This is a real problem. And I think that most people would agree that they would feel uncomfortable if any corporate bank was routinely going through their financial records. Now, here's the key to this. Bank of America may not have had a choice at all, and it might not have been because of, he quotes a particular law in here, and it might not have had anything to do with that. I believe it's possible Bank of America could have also gotten a national security letter. You need to go watch this video. I'm going to link it above. Naomi Blackwell, her channel does not get enough love. She does little short, snappy videos, but they're so good, and they cover so many interesting topics. This one is very neat. Gag orders, what these companies can't tell you. And it basically talks about why companies like Shapeshift, all of a sudden went from not doing KYC to suddenly doing KYC, but never telling people they were doing KYC, and why they didn't tell people they were, or never telling people exactly why they started doing KYC, and never did actually tell people, like legally or politically or both, can't actually tell people why. Now it falls under a certain type of gag order. These national security letters are probably unconstitutional. In fact, they've been ruled as such, but it hasn't went all the way to the Supreme Court. Every single time it tries to go to the Supreme Court, some reason mysteriously it gets squashed, and it's allowing tremendous overreach by the government. Now, I'm not telling you today that the U.S. government is doing anything wrong outright. I mean, look, let's face it. This guy broke the law. This situation is a little bit murky because, it depends on which side. Like, are you okay with, giving up that much privacy? Some people don't care about their privacy, and I think that the only reason they don't care about their privacy is because their privacy hasn't been abused yet. And you could argue this isn't necessarily abuse except for a very small minority who just happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time financially. So I get that. But it's just realizing how much overreach can occur in the current financial system, where when you have something like cryptocurrency, nobody can take your cryptocurrency. Now, they can with Bitcoin. People don't realize it's Bitcoin because you'll hear Bitcoin is anonymous or it's a pseudo-anonymous, but it's not anonymous anymore. Bitcoin, they can track, once they have your identity connected to a wallet, they can track that Bitcoin and understand where it goes, unless it goes through something called a mixing service, or it gets converted into something like Monero, for example. Now, Monero is a cryptocurrency that exists. The thing about Bitcoin is no one can stop you from transacting in it. Even the police, even going to jail, they can't take this guy's cryptocurrency. He can move this cryptocurrency if he wants to. Now, maybe they say, hey, if it gets moved, you go back to jail. Who knows? If he's using something like Monero, which is a privacy coin, probably the best privacy coin on the planet, the government can't track the transactions. It's private. It's private. Now, some people say, but I don't have anything to hide. I don't care if the government knows. I get that you don't have anything to hide. I don't have anything to hide, but I still want to shut the door when I go to the bathroom because there are certain times that we just want privacy. I would prefer to know that everybody wasn't watching every single thing on every private moment. Just very, very interesting where we're at as a society and where we're moving to as a society. And I think we're going to see more and more. Once your ears are keen to this sort of stuff, you start thinking, I could see this getting dangerous. I could see the overreach there. But the question is, what's the solution? Because I think this sort of overreach is going to, understand government, whether you believe on the right side or the left side of that aisle, wherever your political leanings are, at the end of the day, their job is to try to keep Americans safe. The challenge with that is when you give up security, you oftentimes give up freedoms because they're constantly monitoring, they're constantly watching. And it gives the potential for the wrong type of leader to potentially abuse government overreach. It's not that the intent is bad. It's not that government intends to necessarily be bad. It just means there's tremendous potential for overreach. And I'm concerned about that overreach. I've been concerned about it for a long time. That's why I believe in cryptocurrency, decentralized cryptocurrency, not the Fed coin. I'll link this video below as well. Not the Fed coin. This is not decentralized cryptocurrency. Central bank digital dollars is not decentralized cryptocurrency. Ladies and gentlemen, let me know what your thoughts are on these news stories down in the comments. And do me a favor. If you believe cryptocurrency is the future, smash that like button. Hey, thank you so much for watching. Decentralized cryptocurrency is the future, in my opinion. This is Crypto Wealth. I'm out.